As of the 9th of September, inmates in prisons across the country kicked off a nationwide strike to protest what they are referring to as modern-day slavery. Now, this strike includes prisoners across 12 states in 29 different prisons, and they're all refusing to go to work in an effort to increase their wages and improve working conditions. Now, the magnitude of this is huge. There are 24,000 prisoners across the country participating in this to date, and they're all boycotting the work that prisons required them to do. Now, the question is, why are they fed up with the working conditions in prisons? Because, we don't really talk about what's going on inside these prisons. It's pretty stark. So, Mother Jones explains that the 13th Amendment to the Constitution abolished slavery, but left an exception for people who have been convicted of crimes. This means that prisoners can legally be put to work for little to no pay. All inmates who are medically able must do mandatory jobs, such as maintenance, cleaning, and kitchen duties. Inmates may be paid for this work, usually between 12 to 40 cents an hour, but some states, including Texas, Arkansas, and Georgia, do not pay inmates at all. So, generally speaking, that's the issue that inmates are facing in prisons across the country. But here's the specifics that make these working conditions just unbearable. So, work is mandatory. You don't have a choice. And if you refuse to work for literal slave wages, then you can actually be punished. So, for example, if you're a prisoner in Texas, you can be confined to your cell all day if you don't work. Now, there's also no legal recourse for prisoners who are workers. They're not technically considered employees of the state, so federal labor standards don't apply to them, and they can't form a union or really do much if they're dissatisfied with the working conditions. And even though prisoners make 12 to 40 cents an hour, which is nothing, that's still taxable, and depending on the state, up to 80% of that income can go to taxes, and there's also no safety standards for prisoners. Now, you would think that with conditions like this has to be something that's going on in a third world country, not the United States, right? The beacon of freedom that we are. No, it's going on here in this country, and nobody wants to talk about it. And out of all the countries in the world, we have the highest incarceration rate. So many people are locked up, and they have to face these terrible working conditions. Now, I know what people are going to say in response. They're going to say, Mike, these are criminals. They did the crime, now they have to do the time. But look, think about it this way. We don't know if these people who are dealing with these bad working conditions are mass murderers. We don't know if they are in there for a low-level drug offense. We don't know. But what we do know is that these are human beings. We have to ask ourselves whether or not we really want to be a nation that completely strips them of all their human dignity. And look, here's the main takeaway. They're not asking for much. They're asking for GED classes and drug rehabilitation programs and fairer working conditions. I think that that's pretty reasonable, right? They're not asking for freedom. They know they did the crime. They're just asking that as they're serving their time, can they at least be treated like humans? I don't think that's too much to ask. Here's the thing. They're not allowed to vote when they're in prison. They have no representation, and they have no say or control over their lives. They're basically treated like animals. They're literally treated like animals. So the question is, will this strike lead to any policy changes? So Mother Jones says, so far, no prisons or correctional departments have announced changes as a result of the strike, but ongoing lockdowns could potentially be the breaking point, says Cole Dorsey, an organizer with the Incarcerated Workers Organizing Committee. They can't run the prison just with guards alone. That will be the important part. So, to kind of respond to these prisoners, they're doing lockdowns and they're trying to punish them, but that's true. The prison runs with the labor of inmates too. So hopefully this will lead to some policy change. We have no idea, but now this protest is entering its third week. And to everyone protesting, we're with you. Progressives are with you, because not only should prisoners be allowed to vote, they should be subject to the Fair Labor Standards Act. They should have fair and safe working conditions. This is something that should be unquestionable. We shouldn't even be debating whether or not we treat human beings like human beings. They're not asking for much. They're just asking to be treated a little bit better. I think we can afford to do that.